This is going to be a hard video because if you follow autism content online, you are more or less being read the golden script. People with autism are very direct and honest. They are very logical thinkers. They have great pattern recognition. They go to college and have these great careers. And even though they have support needs that a neurotypical person doesn't have, they are still able to achieve those things with the right support needs. There is a very gentrified narrative being fed about autism in the media these days, especially on social media. And I am somebody who is high functioning, low support needs autistic, formerly classified as Asperger's syndrome. I also have a severe learning disability and I have a severe mental illness. And I want to spend some time talking about the less glamorous, if you will, sides of autism and what living with autism actually is like on a day-to-day basis. And I won't cover everything in just one video. It's just too broad of a topic. But one topic that needs to be discussed is the infamous poo problem. The shite demon. If you know, you know. But if you don't know, this is what I'll say. People with autism are known to suffer from severe constipation pretty much throughout all of their lives. And this very often results in them having fecal impactions and sometimes full bowel obstructions, oftentimes requiring ER intervention. And this is in spite of attempts to mitigate the problem through diet, through exercise, through hydration, etc., etc. And I'm not going to talk about like the scientific piece of it here. I really want to focus on the personal experience of what it's like to experience this complication. So, as a person, a young person growing up with autism and not knowing, and not having the vocabulary to talk about it, I withheld because I did not like the feeling of objects leaving my body in such a sensitive area. I could feel things in my body, but I couldn't tell what it was. Was it itchy? Was it painful? Was it numb? I couldn't tell. And I couldn't always tell where it was or what was causing it. So naturally, if you are not able to intuit these signals from your body, using the bathroom can be a real challenge for you. And if you are ultra sensitive to certain sensations, same thing, using the bathroom can be a real challenge for you. And it's not uncommon to just become constipated as a result. And because people with autism often have trouble with bodily signals, they may not hydrate as well as they should. Their diet may be very restricted, and that makes the problem even worse. And if you're having constant bowel obstructions, exercise is not happening. That is the last thing you're going to want to do. Trust me, I've been there. I had to run a mile in phys ed in school while I had a fecal impaction. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Anyway, so this is what's happening. But you can't tell your parents because as a teenager, like, you're embarrassed. It's like telling your parents that you're pregnant or have an STD. It's just not something you do, and you can't tell them why you're doing it because you don't know. You don't control it. You don't know what the feeling is. You don't know what the cause is. It's just this mysterious thing that's just become part of your life. And you learn to hide your underwear, and you take pads and diapers wherever you go. And the pain is on another level. One day when I was 13, I begged a teacher to give me morphine because the pain was so bad. And I would go to school and I would go to gym class and I would function with these fecal impactions in this level of pain. And I didn't want anybody to know what was happening. And to describe the pain would be like you feel like your intestinal cavity is filled entirely with lead. Sometimes you can feel fluid sloshing around on the inside. And any attempt to push it out will just tear you open, like you will bleed. And you could have diarrhea like behind the massive stool, and the diarrhea can leak around the massive poo, and it will leak out into your underwear, so you can be constipated and have diarrhea at the same time. And you cannot control this at all, and you can't feel it coming until it's too late. And the smell and texture is just something straight out of hell. I won't get too graphic here, but it's black, it's liquid, it's tarry sometimes, and it stains horribly. And hiding and smelling good and taking care of your hygiene when you're a teenager in puberty while you're having a constant leakage of black tar is damn near impossible. And yes, kids made fun of me for it. And as far as the pain, like, I would cope with it by deep breathing like you're in labor. And I would fantasize. I would escape into my fantasy world where people loved me and I didn't feel any pain. And I saw myself as these romantic characters in classic novels who were sickly with tuberculosis or whatever. And that was my way of dealing with it. And as an adult, as my vocabulary around this subject and my interoception improved, I was able to identify a lot more information that could help me take care of my body better. But guess what? I still experience the impactions every now and again. One famous incident was in 2016. I went to the emergency room for an absolute monster that was not moving. It went on for days. And the pain was just constant. And I was leaking uncontrollably. And I went to the ER, and they all looked at me like just in amazement. Like, you're too young to be having this problem. We normally see this in elderly people. Do you eat your fruits and veggies? Get the fuck out of here. Okay, anyway. So, I asked for general anesthesia and or sedation. They said they could do that, but I would have to be admitted. That was like hell to the no, because I had to work in a few hours on the overnight shift. I didn't want to miss getting paid. So I was completely awake and conscious and aware and participating when a male doctor fisted me in the emergency room. He stuck his fist into my body cavity and tried to pull it out, but he couldn't reach it. And he tugged, and I'm being pulled off the bed at this point. He can't get it, so they finally bring in the soap-suds enema. And that was like a gallon of warm, soapy water. Sounds innocent enough. Wait. Gets better. It feels warm just as it goes in, but it feels cold as it seeps through your intestines, and it feels like 1,000 little tiny gas explosions as it fills up your intestines with water. It is like the absolutely most painful bloating you've ever experienced, besides maybe pregnancy. I don't know. I've never experienced that. But you have to take the entire bag, or the enema may not work. So I breathed through the pain of these little tiny explosions in my intestine so I could take the bag so I could get this out of me. And they said, hold it as long as you can for at least 10 minutes and then get rid of it. Okay. Well, actually, getting rid of it was very fast and almost painless. The hardest part was getting pumped full of the fluid. But once it was time to go, it was fine. It took 6 tries of going, but the job was completed. And I went to work and I produced bubbles the rest of the night. And I continued to discharge jets of water for the rest of the night. And this is not something you are going to see on most autism feeds and social media. And this may not happen to you. I'm not saying that it will. But I think it's only ethical that people who are diagnosed with autism, especially as young people, they need to understand what their future could possibly look like, and they need to know what they can do about it. They need to feel empowered, and they need to not feel alone, and they need to not feel ashamed like I was.